Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for the final time for the NORL F1 2018 Championship. We are here for the final race of the series. The championships all wrapped up, but there is still several championships to be decided on the grid. A few third place, fourth place scraps going on for the drivers respectively. But in terms of the championship, Chazza wrapped that up last time out, and it's actually Seppi on course to take pole position, which would be his first ever NORL pole position, but he's actually lost a ton of time through the chicane, so now Carl Spencer gets promoted up to provisional pole. But as it is the final race of the season, a bit of a special occasion, we've made a little bit of a special arrangement. So we've got NORL racer Zach Swader, aka Sonic49, in the chat with us here today. How are things looking for you today, Zach, ahead of the final round?
I think we're in for a very exciting race today, Toby. It's good to be here for the final round of the F1 2018 NRL Championship Formula One. And right now we're looking at Niblo, I think, set a 136 in qualifying here. And so I think he does outright get the provisional pole right there, Toby. So I think whatever he lost, he actually gained through there. But we're going to be in for an exciting race here nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely Niblo on pole position. Shock. He's done that many times this season. Seppi could be one to watch out for down in 7th place. Was in pole position all the way until sector 3, so he's got some good pace for sector 1 and 2. Made a bit of a mistake. Carl Spencer also lining up in P2. Now the key thing is the Ultrasoft tyres occupy the 4 top spots, and then it's the Hypersoft, so the faster compound of tyres actually slower in qualifying than the Ultrasoft, which is pretty interesting to see. We've got some guys trying out a super soft strategy down in 12th and 13th, Destes and Anil Tanovic respectively, but that's about all it is in terms of tyre variety. Good performance from Lord Jordan qualifying again. Took his first podium in NORL last time out. Looking to build on that today. And Nibbler's looking really, Zach, for a consolation win. There's no chance he can win the championship now. There's a 26-point gap, and he can only make 25 today. So a bit of a consolation victory. Danny Ibn Lahar at hospital today, so cannot make the race. So feel better soon, Danny. But yes, Nibbler starting from pole. But other than that, who do you think we have to look out for, Zach?
Well, you know, Colin Spencer actually was in 2nd place, and, you know, he's been doing very well in the Gran Turismo side of things for the NRL Racing League, and so it would be nice to see if he can transfer all of that luck and skill into the Formula One game, because he has yet to, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Toby, but he has yet to get a single Formula One victory in the Nemesis Racing League, except that he does that in the Gran Turismo, so he'll be one to watch for as he starts right beside Niblo here in 2nd place, and so we'll have to see what goes on in turn number 1.
Yeah, Carl Spencer yet to take his first NORL F1 victory. He has taken podiums many times, and he actually crashed out while leading the race in Russia. He crashed out all by himself. Looks like he's having a bit of connection problems as he rejoins the session. Looks like he disconnected after qualifying. He will be allowed to take his position back up in 2nd place once he rejoins the session, of course. So a little bit of a connection problem for Callum, but I'm sure he'll get in before the race gets underway. We have a full formation lap to go over first, as Murcielago takes a disqualification from the formation lap, as does Destes, so those guys will not be allowed to warm up their tyres. They'll have to start on cold tyres as punishment for contact in the formation lap. As we go around, looking up and down the grid then, in terms of obviously the tyre strategies that we've got going on here today, we could see it was the ultra-soft tyres that, interestingly enough, seem to be the faster tyres in qualifying, occupying the top 4 spots. Now, Carl Spencer leaves the session, so really seems to be struggling to get his connection in check here. He might miss the start if he's not careful. However, his AI should theoretically take the start for him. He'll just have to rejoin and take control of it once we get going. But yeah, what I'm saying is the Hypersoft tyres seem slower than the Ultras, and they've got less life. So the Hypersoft tyre runners in a really, really tricky spot here, because they're going to be able to do less laps, Zach, and it looks like they're slower than their harder compound counterparts.
Yeah, and that's something to take note, as you said, because, you know, when you notice here for the guys on the Hypersofts, you know, you would think theoretically they would be faster, but I think the wear just kicks in so quickly that they lose lose it toward the end of the lap regardless. So whatever they gain through the first couple sectors, especially on this track, Toby, this track is very demanding on tires, especially when you get through the second and third sectors with all the sweeping lefts and rights coming up into the very light up Ferrari road building. Especially through that sector, the tires really go through a lot. So have to see exactly what happens right there. So we got a few extra guys going into disqualification laps, so they'll be on cold tires. One of them especially is Ragno. So we'll have to see what he can do on the start as well. As we just got a notification on the PlayStation Network that Colin Spencer just now rejoined PlayStation Network, so hopefully he can be able to rejoin the race here. But yeah, his AI will have to take the start for him, it looks like, Toby here, and who knows where his AI will end up if he can be able to get it rejoined here.
Yeah, interesting, because it is the top three have not been able to do a formation lap. Nibbler got disqualified, Calum Spencer got disconnected, and Ragnar got disqualified. So it looks like Lordjog could be the prime man to get the best start of the two here. Just noticed Dougie Afroman as well, looking like he's wearing a special tribute helmet for his final race of the season. Just looking up and down the grid as well, Defstairs qualified on the Super Sauce, but he has returned to the Ultra Sauce, so it doesn't look like he's going to be confident in those guys getting ready to go. But here we go for the final time this season. Slice out, away we go. It does look like Calum Spencer does miss the start of the Grand Prix, which means Nibbler will go into turn one uncontested. However, his teammate of Defstairs is in the wall already. Lost a big chunk of front wing in the background there, and now he's going to get into a little bit of a squabble with Maka. Maka making the move, but going through the first couple of corners, we have Dougie Afroman making up 2 positions. Lordjog lost 2 positions despite having the better tyres at the start. He's lost out straight away. Kevin Jacobs in the background trying to make a move on Galactic Skull 2. Chaos unfolding as we go racing here. Looks like Calum J. Spencer firmly out the race. What a start by Testomeister, up from 5th into 3rd by the hairpin. Dougie Afroman in pursuit, but yes, it's definitely been Lordjog, Defstairs and Calum Spencer as early casualties.
And that is unfortunate. That's the second time in the past couple weeks, Toby, that Calum Spencer has missed the start of a Nemesis Racing League event, because he missed the first race of the Super GT series on Gran Turismo Sport at the Bathurst, and now he misses this one, so it's just very unlucky for him to go into this, because he had a very good shot starting second as Testomeister tries to take a look on Ragno, but couldn't get it done right there. He'll have to be a bit more patient here as we're on the early laps, as we're going through the sweeping corners here through the S's and into the double left-hander, but he is right on the back end, the gearbox of Ragno, hoping to take the Toro Rosso by force.
So going crazy in the background, we can see Defstairs in more trouble. Looks like he just made contact with Maka. Looks like he lost another chunk of his front wing in doing so. Bad start for the American. We can see crazy starts going on.
Contact. Nemesis isn't around. He had contact. I believe that was Galactic Skull. He had contact. He went wide going into the double right-hander, and then as he came back on track, I think he hit Galactic Skull or Dougie Afroman. So very unfortunate events for Nemesis so far. Not a good lap that you want to do it, but yeah, you'll have to have a very good recovery force if he wants to get back all that ground that he made here.
It's a crazy start, contact all around. We're up racing once again. Seppi's now making a move on Kevin Jacobs. Seppi trying to go around the outside of turn one. That's a very hard move to pull off. Looks like he's not been able to do it. Kevin Jacobs defends well. Calum Spencer still trying to get in. Now Anil Tanovic is closing in on the Super Soft compound tyre. So the Hypersoft struggling against the Supers. Something I didn't think I'd be saying for another few laps just yet. Anil Tanovic desperately looking past for away on the Toro Rosso. Nothing doing. Has to get comfortable behind that Haas, and we'll begin the long drag up as we look up and down the field. We can see the gap's still pretty even for everybody, but down the start finish straight, not the start finish straight, the back straight, sorry, one of the longest straights in Formula One is coming down, and it's a slipstream fest, most particularly for Murcielago on the back of Anil Tanovic. Got a better exit, but nowhere to go with it. Kevin Jacobs still defending from Seppi, and everything remains the same for at least another corner.
And all the time, Niblo increases the gap, 1.6 the gap to Ragno in second place here. And so all of this chaos and craziness going on, Niblo is just pulling away from the Toro Rosso. And Ragno still under pressure from the Renault of Testomeister. And so really, this is what Niblo wants to see. Like you said, this is just more something that he just wants to get a race, another race win at least, even though he can't win the championship here. This is just a send-off here. So Niblo will be very happy we can be able to pull all this off here in the very last race here. But very interesting start to this race here, and just going through the field on my end here, Testomeister still on the gearbox of Ragno here as he's just a little bit here, but as we're coming up to lap 3, we will have DRS, and of course he is very well within the second of Ragno, so he can get the DRS down the straight. We should be in as he goes just a little bit wide going into the first corner here, but nonetheless recovers just fine, so we'll have to see if he can be able to make a move going down the straight here with DRS.
So Def says pits to get that front wing changed after 2 laps, tried to keep going, but unfortunately unable to do so, was losing too much time, decided he'd be better off coming in for a pit stop and getting underway. So here we go then, through onto the back straight once again. It'll be a long slipstream down the back, and on the back of Ragnar then, the 2 Italians about to go to war for the final time this season. What a run by Ragnar, but he's still under pressure from Tester. Tester gets the move done with a bit of DRS to support him, but now it'll be role reversal, because now Ragnar will get a second bite of the cherry and get his chance to take the position back. It all depends on who's got more ERS saved here. Ragnar opens the rear wing flap and is coming back at a similar speed to what Tester had on him. Looks to the inside, Tester not defending very well, and lets the compatriot of Ragnar back through, tries a switchback, nowhere to go with it, cuts the corner, nowhere to go with it once again, hands back, and will stay behind his compatriot for another lap. Great racing between the 2 Italians to not make any contact there. Meanwhile, the Red Bulls are scrapping for 10th place in the background as well. A bit of a crazy fight going on there. Seppi's well and truly fell off the back of Kevin Jacobs and finds himself under pressure from a very fast Aneltanovic.
Yeah, very good racing from both Ragno and Testermeister. And I can tell you one thing, Testermeister going down the main straightaway looked like he had nitrous equipped to that Renault instead of DRS. You know, the mixed in with the ERS and of course the DRS and slipstream, nonetheless, especially on that stream, long straightaway, you're going to get a very good launch here. But he'll have a chance to do it again if he can keep it within, of course, the 1 second. Still half a second as we're coming through the S's going up into the chicane here. So going through the field once again here, Kevin Jacobs and Aneltanovic here, as well with Seppi here caught in the middle between them. Aneltanovic just caught back up to Seppi here, and it looks like slowly Seppi could be coming up against Kevin Jacobs. He looks like he's gaining back the ground that he lost through there, as Aneltanovic has to watch out and see what she's going here. He gets a good run, and is he going to try to send it down the inside? He does, and Aneltanovic is going to go on right side by side with the Toro Rosso of Seppi, but I think Seppi is going to get the run here, but Aneltanovic should have DRS here. There it is. The DRS loading, and here we go, DRS equipped here. He's going to try to get a little bit of slipstream going into the Toro Rosso. He's going to send it on the outside just like Testermeister. I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything with it in this one. It does. He thinks wise with that one, backs off and tries to get it. Oh, Murcielago out of nowhere. Looks like he just forgot his braking point right there and almost collides into his fellow teammate. And there goes Maka right there alongside. So that was very interesting. Just Murcielago missed his braking point. He almost had a very dramatic crash right there, Toby. That was interesting, but nonetheless avoided everything so far.
So with all of that chaos, the Red Bulls still going at it. Aneltanovic did manage to make the move on the second part of that straight. Got the move done on Seppi. Great pace for Aneltanovic on the harder tyres. He's on the hardest tyres on the field at the moment, unless Defstes has come out on a set of softs. No, Defstes is on super softs as well. So we now have 2 drivers out on the super soft tyres. As Nemesis Racing puts a move on Murcielago, sends it around the outside. Caught Murcielago napping there up into P11. One more spot for points for the Italian, who got spun around on the very first lap. And Aneltanovic is now closing on Kevin Jacobs. I think the super soft, Zach, might be the best tyre to be on. They look very fast at the moment, and they seem to be closing in on Kevin Jacobs at an alarming rate. We've got yellow flags in Sector 1. What has happened? We're trying to have a quick check at his tester. He's round.
Wonder what happened to Testermeister. He was right there working on Ragno to try to get back into second here after that scrap that they had the previous lap, and now he's fallen all the way back almost dead last. So I wonder if he just lost the rear end, Toby, if he just runs less traction control than the rest of these guys. And so now we got
more yellows, more yellows.
Sector 2.
It's Anel, he's in the wall. Aneltanovic is in the wall. Looks like he's got some car trouble, and he's left the session. So potentially a connection failure for Aneltanovic. Looks like his car pulled over into the wall. He's lost a chunk of front wing on the inside. But the way his car was behaving, followed by immediately leaving, suggests to me that he's had a connection failure. That's such a shame. He was having such a good start to this Grand Prix. He was going to be in a really strong position come the pit stop phases. I mean, even if he does rejoin, he's so far behind now with wing damage that it's pretty much put an end to his proceedings, which is a big shame because he was doing so well as well. So that is the brutality of internet racing. If your internet connection goes, so does your race. And there's not much you can say about it. You and me have plenty of experience with that situation. situations that when it comes to power and internet and things like that, there's just nothing you can do but pray it doesn't go wrong, as Nemesis Racing absolutely sends it on Maka, knocks him off the track for good measure. Maka retaliates by sending it up another corner as well. Contact between the two, banging wheels all the way. Maka's still there, not giving in at all. Absolutely dirty racing going on between these two, like touring car stuff. Nemesis and Maka both go wide, and now Murcielaga's having a look, and look at that send from Nemesis once again. Nowhere to go with it, but wow, touring car racing in Formula 1 cars.
I tell you one thing, me and Murcielago, I was watching that battle from Murcielago's point of view, and that is just something interesting, just watching those two just fight it out as Murcielago is going to try to send it on Nemesis. I don't know if Nemesis has some damage. We got another yellow in Sector 1, Sector 2.
It's Galactic Skull 2's gone around.
Galactic Skull, yep, he's gone around now, so he's going to let everyone through here, trying to get in front of everyone right there. Ooh, contact right there, actually with Murcielago. I guess Murcielago just wasn't expecting him to be coming back right there, but, you know, that's kind of where no forces, I believe that's Maka. Going to make a move on Seppi right here. He's going to have the DRS, and he's going to try to drag Nemesis along with him. Both of these guys have the DRS, I believe. Unless Maka, no, he doesn't have DRS active. He must have let off, which automatically
Seppi's
deploys,
gone too
and
deep.
Nemesis is going to send it. And yep, Seppi's off the track, way off the track here. The stewards are not going to like that one. He'll probably get a bit of a time penalty right there, because that was just a huge corner cut, not allowing Nemesis up into 6th place. So right between 6th and 8th. And, oh, big lag spike, I thought, on my end, at least from Murcielago, but doesn't look like anywhere else here. But so through 6th through 9th, and then Galactic Skull 2 in the background as these guys lead corner cuts, and just a little bit right there. They've got a big scrap of cars through 6th through 10th here, so we'll have to keep a watch on this throughout the rest of the race, especially when it comes into pit stops right here. So very chaotic midfield here, nonetheless, here.
Oh, contact between the Red Bulls. Maka's around. Maka's in the wall, his teammate hit him up the rear. The Red Bulls have come together, and Maka can't get out the wall. He's stuck. Is Maka going to be able to
put it in reverse?
There he goes. He's finally found the right gear. Disaster for Maka. He was hit by Murcielago from behind. Now it's to dive out the way of the preceding pack. Galactic Skull and Seppi into the pits. But contact between the two Red Bulls. The teammates come together.
Another mirror for the Red Bulls, just like what happened at Baku just a couple of years ago in the real-life Grand Prix. You know, just see, you know, craziness, but that was an insane here, because Nemesis and Maka obviously had the battle, and then next thing you know, Nemesis just goes wide, and then here comes Maka and of course Murcielago, and then just chaos and foes. So that was just crazy racing here. Couldn't tell exactly here. Maka's in the pits as well to fix his front wing damage as well, and he goes on the Hypersofts. I'm not sure what the rest of them went to throughout the pit stops. Let's see, Testameister still on. They have yet to pit here, so it's going through the field here nonetheless.
So Testameister went to Ultras, Defstairs went to Supers, and Galactic Skull and Seppi both Ultra.
All right, so we'll have to see exactly what their pace goes through, because we talked about this. Tire wear seems to be interesting here, because, you know, we thought the Ultras would have something on the Hypers, but I think, like you said, Toby, the Super Softs might have something for both of them, for anyone who goes on those two tires. So I have to keep on pace and see if anyone decides to switch to the Super. So far, it's been Defstez going on the Supers. He's on 4 lap holds. And so now the rest of the field through first.
Oh, Nibbler's off! Nibbler's off! The race leader's in the wall. He's lost a big chunk of front wing and the race lead. He came out of the fast turn 3-4 complex and just lost the rear end, has half spun into the wall and lost a big chunk of front wing and the lead of the race. The Australian off in a big way, very similar to how he lost the championship this time last week. It's gone all wrong for Nibbler, and we've got a race on our hands. We've got a recovery job needed from Nibbler, and he's got to get that front wing changed as well.
That is very unfortunate for him, and I bet you, Toby, that has a lot to do with these tires as well, because don't forget, even with, you know, for those of you that don't know the F1 video games here, when you're on the shorter races, race spec, the tire wear is boosted just a little bit to match what they would also do in real life almost. And so 7 laps on Ultra Softs, it's got to feel like he's driving on ice, Toby, because, you know, of course, also, if he runs less traction control than everyone else, I mean, it's just, you might as well be in D1, let alone Formula 1. So I have to see what he can do. He will, of course, have to get that front wing changed here. And so I just hope he can be able to make a recovery job. But the pace that Ragno has here, you know, I don't know what he's going to do. But will Ragno also pit? Because he's on the same tires, on the same laps. Let's see if he dives into the pits here. No, he's going to stay out. And of course, Niblo has no choice but to come in and actually fix everything here. So unfortunate event for Niblo. Such a good run here, but just, you know, got caught out, you know, by the loose rear end. And that'll catch you every time, especially around here.
Just watching a great little battle between Defstez and Seppi going on at the moment for 9th and 10th place, the fight for the back end of the points, but still great racing going on between the two of them. Danny Avinlahar is a bit disappointed in the chat, saying that he could have challenged for the win now, especially Nibler's had that accident, but he can't race. Frustrating to watch, I'm sure, for him. Cal J. Spencer's in the chat as well, letting us know what happened. He's had an issue with his PlayStation for quite a few months now, and it's come into effect where his game says it is corrupted, and he was unable to continue using the application and was unable to rejoin in time for the race start. So unfortunately did not start for Callum Spencer due to no fault of his own and a system error effectively with the PlayStation, and yeah, rules him out from what could have been a very good race. At this point in the race, with Nibbler having that accident, Callum could have also been leading the race as well, so potential squandered then through no fault of his own. But Defstez and Seppi, still a monumental battle going on, Zach, and I think Seppi lining up a move here.
Yeah, it looks like it. He will have DRS coming into the straight unless he can do it early. That'll actually be a bonus here, but doesn't have enough space right there as Defstez was defending like really Max Verstappen-ish, but as the Seppi's going to have the DRS right here with the slipstream and ERS. Holy mackerel, like we said, it almost looks like he's got nitrous, you know, these guys here. But can the Defstez make a retaliation through the corners? No, he will not, but he will also have DRS through here. A bit of a corner cut through Defstez here, but see if what he can do right here. DRS activated right there in the Force India here. See if he can get it right here through. He's going to have to go. He's going to weave to try to fake out Seppi right there going to the outside here. They're side by side, but no, Seppi's going to let him go through there. With a smart move by Seppi here as he had just had the mega run. He's just like, okay, mate, I will get you the next lap here. So good scrap between these two as Defstez just goes a bit wide here. So going through the field once again, here's those two guys. Niblo is actually going to come under put under pressure for Kevin Jacobs. Remember, Kevin Jacobs still has yet to pit right here, so Niblo is going to have the fresher tires. And notice, Toby, Niblo went on the supers, so I wonder effectively he's going to try for the one stop to actually make the recovery on Ragno if Ragno goes on a two stop. So that'll be very interesting to see if Ragno stays on the Ultra Softs, and now with Niblo on the Supers, that could be for very interesting if Niblo's strategy plays out for this recovery job.
Definitely looking like he could go to the end. He's done it many times this season. Another monumental scrap, by the way, going on between Galactic Skull and Nemesis Racing for P9 and P10. I tell you not, I'm not even exaggerating. These guys have been side by side for the past 4 corners, and only now does Nemesis give up and slot in behind the Sauber. But I'm sure he's not going to give up for long, as he's been had to get out of it to avoid hitting up Galactic Skull in the rear. Nearly took the exit road. And we'll have to wait for a little bit of DRS assistance to try and make this move. Meanwhile, Seppi in an absolute rocket ship in the Toro Rosso Honda past Defstez once again for P7, and Defstez will stay behind, likely to get a little bit of that slipstream effect of his own. Galactic Skull 2 actually got a much better exit than Nemesis Racing, meaning Nemesis can't even challenge down the back straight. Now, Defstez has about 20% more ERS than Seppi, but Seppi this time weaving like an absolute madman to stop the dive bomb from Defstez. And it does. Ragnar, race leader, pits as well from his 10-lap-old Ultra Softs, and he'll likely come back out in the net lead of the race if Dougie Aframan will pass him on. Nemesis is off the track and has just overtaken Galactic Skull 2 off the circuit, gets a 3-second penalty for it, but gives the position back anyway. So he's double penalty there from the stewards, gives the position back, and gets penalised for it anyway. Ragnar coming out the pits, going to be close between him and Lord Jord, actually. Lord Jord just behind, not close enough to challenge, and doesn't really have the tyres to challenge anyway. But Nibbler, not that far behind, Zach.
Yeah, and just to point out, Ragno went on the Supers, as well as Dougie Aframan went on the Supers. So it looks like Ragno knows that Nibbler was going to try to one-stop against him. And so he's decided to counter. I bet you that might have, I wonder if he had a mid-race change here for a strategy, because he saw that, of course, Niblo had the off, and he knows that he's only got 2 seconds to work with here as Niblo gets by Lord Jord right there to put him back into second here. But notice, Toby, how Niblo can be able to make this up. He's only on 2-level tires than Ragno, so not much of a difference there, but could play enough toward the end here that Niblo just won't have the tires because, you know, he's pushing like an absolute madman to try to catch up to Ragnar, so I'm just afraid he's just going to wear out his tires before they can really come to play here.
Yeah, Nimbler's very fast at the moment. Need to definitely look out for him. Almost had a bit of contact passing Lord Jod as well. By the way, if you're getting ready for the trilogy of the Seppi versus Devstev's movie series, that's about to get underway in a cinema near you as Devstev tucks to the inside very early and looks like he's going to make the move on Seppi. No questions asked. Great fight from Seppi and Devstev, considering Devstev is on twice as old, twice as hard tyres than Seppi. Phenomenal driving at the moment, and it looks like a similar story between Galactic Skull and Nemesis is unfolding as well. But in terms of the race league, yeah, it's still pretty much anyone's game. Is Galactic Skull true trying to go around the outside of a non-overtaking corner? Because I really hope he's not, because that's a huge cut and gets a justified penalty as a result, a slam dunk. Lord Jord now pits. By the way, Maka has just passed Anotanovic as well for P12 and P13 in that respect. Lord Jord and Kevin in the pits as well.
Yeah, Colin tried to do a switchback, which can't say I blame him for the switchback, but just cut the corner just a bit too much on the inside. Does get a 3-second justified time penalty right there. So unfortunately for him, but don't forget though, Nemesis, and who was that I just seen? Why, Seppi went, I think, through the corner right there, through the S's right there to try to keep up with Devstez. He lost control of the car. As it goes down to the inside actually of Devstep. So here we go. We've had the trilogy here. We're going into, I don't know what this could be called here. We'll just keep going through the series as they're both side by side. Neither one of them giving an inch right there, but I believe, yeah, Seppi does have the DRS, so he will, once again get a hold of it. But if anything is pretty to be predicted here, Devstep will catch him back on this next straight here, and we'll have to see exactly what the unfolds for this one. But just to clarify also as well, Toby, don't forget Nemesis does have a 3-second time penalty as well here, so that battle's now back into play here between those two as Devstez goes right down through the outside here, but Seppi tries to go, cuts through the curving right there, trying to get all the track that he can, and Devstez goes wide, going onto the dirty portion of the track here, and once again these two just not letting up whatsoever. And once again, of course, Devstez on the older and harder tires right here, so clearly Seppi would have the advantage here, but it just seems, but I think those tires, Toby, are starting to play because Devstez is all over the place and almost loses the rear end. Oh, that's going to give Seppi the advantage right there, as I believe those tires, Toby, you just talked about here, they're really starting to show their face now, because that is obviously tire wear working at its finest right there.
Devstez is under a lot of pressure, free wide into the final corner, and Nemesis has gone as well, but he holds onto it. That was almost a huge accident in the background as Murcielago pits, and Devstez loses a position to Kevin Jacobs under immense pressure from the Haas of Nemesis Racing as well, who's also under pressure himself from Galactic Skull 2, who's losing the rear end, just holds onto it. D1 Drift often comes to this circuit in the United Arab Emirates Drifting Championship. We didn't think Colin McAllister put an entry in, but an entry from Nemesis Racing in the form of the inside of Devstez up the inside for the hairpin. Seppi will be relieved. He finally gets a bit of breathing room, but I'm sure Devstez is going to try and come back, but he doesn't have the DRS, so this is going to be an uphill battle. Meanwhile, Kevin Jacobs is fighting like mad with Seppi in the background, gets the move done into the next chicane. Devstez trying to hold the move from Nemesis Racing on the outside. Nothing doing. Will sit up back and hope on for the DRS to get ready. Galactic Skull 2's watching in the background. If either of these guys make a mistake, Seppi's going after Kevin Jacobs. Devstez is going after Nemesis Racing. Who's going to blink first? Devstez looking to the outside once again. He's pulled this off on Seppi many times. Is he going to do it on Devstez? It's so close. I think a bit of contact between the two. They're still there. Nemesis Racing loses out on the inside. Has to hold off Galactic Skull 2 into the next corner, who goes a little bit wide from trying to go around the outside of a non-overtaking corner. Will Nemesis have any surprise moves at the inside? No. Holds on to it. Waits for his moment, but they all go wide once again, and it's Devstez really struggling. He needs to think about getting off these tyres. They've seen the best of it, and he's getting involved in battles, which, like we said so many times, is going to increase the wear tenfold. Will he dart to the pits? No, he won't, but a dart to the inside from Nemesis Racing in the final corner will provoke a switchback from from Destez, and they'll be side by side going into turn 1. Is that Galactic Skull 2 about to make it 3 wide into turn 1? Very close. Nemesis Racing has the inside. Destez still there, and Galactic Skull 2 might get the both of them here. He's got a superior run to both cars, but he's now going to go around the outside. He's on the marbles. Twitch from the rear end of the Sauber has to get out of it, and that was so close to losing it for Galactic Skull 2. But that little crazy segment ends with Nemesis Racing taking a position and Galactic Skull 2, Destez losing 2.
I don't know if it's going to be over yet, because we've seen what the DRS and ERS can do for Destez, as he might be able to get him. I don't know if he can be able to get Galactic Skull on this straight, but if he can catch him up and actually nail the next 2 corners, he could be right back up there with the Galactic Skull 2. He's going to try to late break right here, and there it is right there, but I don't know if he can be able to do it. He's going to really cut the corner. Yep, yeah, I knew that was going to come right there. He cuts the corner right there, just doing all he can to catch back up to Galactic Skull 2. Gets another DRS, but this time, though, Galactic Skull 2's got the DRS on Nemesis, so that's going to play into effect of him catching up to Galactic Skull 2 as try to outbreak each other right through here. So nonetheless, though, yeah, Destez really needing to get off these tires, but he is just doing all he can. Catches back up just a little bit right there, so none of this might not be over, but we'll have to see here what goes on. And all the while, Toby, it seems like Seppi has actually pulled a lot of ground after all that chaos. Seppi has gained a bunch of time on Nemesis and is going to try to go after Kevin Jacobs. Now, Kevin Jacobs, of course, had all of that, and if anything catches back up to Kevin Jacobs, we know how hard of a defender he is, so he's not going to give up easily if anyone catches him. But just looking at the gaps to everyone so far of those guys, it seems like everything now, just now, is starting to calm down through these positions. So, as we can catch a breather.
Oh, Galactic Skull's gone!
Oh, he collects Destez. That is not good. And Testameister having to really watch out for everything right there. He actually cut through the corner to try to avoid everyone right there. Big
accident, and how none of those drivers have DNF'd is absolutely beyond me. That is absolutely insane. And now Destez might actually have a run on Testameister, because Testameister's taken the position away from Destez, but Destez is still there trying to cling on to the car. Now Destez will have picked up some wing damage. Yeah, you can see the front left end plate has gone as well. What a crazy race we've had so far. And the final time, there's no consequences. Here goes Nemesis Racing, by the way, has caught up to Seppi and is now trying to pass him up the inside into the next chicane, but Seppi's still holding it on the outside, and we can see Galactic Skull 2 gets a penalty as well for corner cutting. That's his second one of the day. He'll be up to 6 seconds worth of penalties by the end of this lap, and Seppi holds on for another day, to fight another day against Nemesis Racing. And I've just been keeping an eye on the battle on the front too. Now, despite the tyres being 2 laps all different, Nibbler has held the gap at 1.1 seconds. It has been around there for a very long time. Nibbler has been keeping the gap within a second of Ragnar. Just seems to be waiting, or maybe Ragnar's just conserving a bit. I'm really not in a position to say. We don't really know. But Nibbler, nevertheless, impressively holding on to the back of Ragnar. He's not losing ground, and so the race for the lead is still on, despite all the craziness we've got in the midfields there.
I don't know what to say, and I'm actually surprised that Destez, he does hit, so that'll get him off those tires, but I'm surprised he got away with as much wing damage as he did. I'm surprised he didn't exactly have a lost front wing somewhere off into the track, spread about somewhere in carbon fiber shards, because the contact that he had with Galactic Skull 2 was just immenseful. You can feel the impact in our commentary booth up here, Toby. It was just astounding of how hard he hit the Sauber right here, but very lucky, all of them, to be able to come back away from this one. As we talked about, of course, like you were saying, the gap between Ragnar and Niblo, of course, is staying at about 1 second here. Niblo just on a couple lap old tires. They're on the same tires here, but I just wonder, like you said, he's going to save and conserve his tires, as he might just hope that Ragnar makes a small mistake enough to be able to catch up here. But I don't know what's going to happen if, of course, he goes out wide, as he's using all the track that he can to catch up, though. So it'll be after to see if Seppi picks up a second time penalty right there. Once again, very multiple drivers. We got Nemesis, Galactic Skull 2, and now Seppi picking up the time penalty rewards here from the stewards. So tough day at the office for those guys as far as the time penalties goes. But I can't wait to see what happens between these two, Toby. It's going to be very interesting to see if Niblo can be able to get the gap on Ragnar.
just been watching Galactic Skull 2 and Maka do battle, and it ended with Galactic Skull 2 completely missing his breaking point and going straight on at the first of the two major chicanes at the end of the straight. Destes is racing Aneltanovich's AI, so he should be able to pass that quite easily. How long? He doesn't want to be stuck behind it for long if it is an AI. Nemesis pits for a front wing change, so he's lost his front wing somewhere on the course of this lap.
I believe, Toby, that happened when he was battling Galactic Skull 2 multiple times earlier in the race. I think it was like maybe 6-7 laps ago they were battling, and I think Nemesis kind of just caught out his braking just a little bit, going, I think it was into the hairpin just after the first chicane, going down the front, the big long straightaway. So I believe that's where that front wing damage came. As I was watching them, I think you were watching the one of the battles between many battles with Destes. So I believe that's where the front wing damage came from on Nemesis.
Testermeister and Seppi are doing battle. Seppi will opt for the inside line, his favourite defence manoeuvre of the evening, but it's not going to come to fruition because Testermeister just drives clean around the outside of him, using all of his ERS to make them position gain before we even got to the next corner. Incredible speed from Testermeister's Renault in that overtake. He'll move up into P6, pretty unchallenged in that regard. Seppi will try to hold on, but he's on a lot older tyres, so it's pretty much all said and done in that regard. Galactic Skull 2 has caught back up to Maka, now makes the move up the inside of the chicane. Pretty simple move, really. Done with a bit of DRS assistance, and he'll move himself up into P11. Now Nibbler starting...
Quickly, Toby. Yeah, I was about to say what you were commentating on, that Niblo is in DRS range. He gained a lot of time, and he's now under a second, so he's going to have DRS here. This is going to be a battle for the ages, and of course, Toby, there's been a lot of drama with these two throughout the season, so I cannot wait to see how this unfolds. The very last race, for the very last time on this one, these two doing battle here, and I cannot wait to see how this unfolds right here. So, right now, if you're Niblo here, you're going to hope that Ragno is, of course, fastest lap from Destes, by the way, a 1:38, so very good lap from him. So, and that is on the, what tire is he on? He's on the Ultra Softs here, just 2 lap old Ultra Softs, so not a bad lap from him here. But now we have these two guys here, and holy cow, I cannot wait to see this, like I keep saying.
Yeah, the thing is, although this race has been crazy, just to throw another firecracker in the bucket, there is no other driver on circuit. There's no other drivers on circuit that don't want to lose to each other as much as these guys. They do not like each other in the slightest, and they do not want to finish behind the other at any point. So I can see some very aggressive overtaking coming from Nibbler and some very equally aggressive defending coming from Ragnar. But it is advantage Ragnar. He does have the younger tyres, and it is obviously Nibbler playing chase. So it is advantage Ragnar at the moment. He's on younger tyres, two lap younger tyres to be specific, as I almost choke on my own water. It's been that much of a crazy race. But Nibbler's very close under braking. Looks like he's a lot more confident on the brakes in them Ferraris. I don't know if there's a bit of brake bias changing going on. He'll gain a bit more. Probably not in range to make an overtake just yet. He knows better. He's got the experience to realise when the move's on and when it's not. And he'll sit and wait. But it looks like Ragnar's starting to struggle. Maybe a bit of overheating in his tyres at the moment, because he's really struggling in the entry and exit of corners more than anything. It doesn't really look like it's anything to do with understeer or anything like that. It just looks like it's taking him a very long time to get slowed down, and an even longer time to get back on the throttle again. So his rear tyres looks like they're suffering. Galactic Skull 2 now responds with his own fastest lap of the race on the ultra soft tyres as well. So both these guys will be looking at that and using that to think, compare, and all the stuff that a driver does in these races in terms of lap times, thinking about their own strategy as well as battling. There's a lot to do in these races for these drivers, of course. But at the moment, they're both on the same tyres, but Ragnar has 2 laps advantage. But I think if they're both going to the end, it's going to be very tough. We haven't seen anybody do over 13 laps. That's the longest we've seen so far this race, was a 13-lap stint on the super soft tyres. I think it was actually the ultra soft tyres, sorry. Well, we saw a 13-lap stint. No one's gone beyond that yet. And Nibbler tried to go beyond the usual tyre bounds in Brazil. We tried to go a few laps longer than what everyone else was, and in actual fact, he couldn't, got a puncture and crashed out because, as Nibbler quite clearly quoted to me, there is no, once you have a puncture in this game, you can't control it unless you're going very, very, very slowly. So they don't want to push the tyres too much. Of course, Abu Dhabi is a very, very hot track. But they've both got to consider the tyres, but Nibbler's just concerned with getting past him at the moment. But I don't think these guys will go to the end. I think it's a bit far-fetched, but they've surprised me before, so let's see what happens.
And just watching these two, Tobo, while you were talking about that, it seems Niblo, obviously with the help of the DRS, is quickest through the first couple, maybe the first sector only. But I think Ragno through this sector right here is just obviously quicker because whatever Niblo gains on him with the DRS, Ragno just comes back in the last couple of sectors and just, you know, demolishes all of that. So it seems like these guys, in a sense, are perfectly even matched because, so, like you said, with these tires as they are, you know, you got to take all you can right here. Just, you know, once you go through here, as you come through sector 1, Ragno is going to lose to Niblo with the help of the DRS to Niblo. But as we go through the final couple of sectors, it seems like Ragno just gains all of that back. So if we do, Toby, if we do go into a second pit stop, like you say, if none of these guys can go past, you know, lap 3 or like 13 laps or so, I just wonder what each guy is going to go on for tires because, you know, obviously with this being the last couple of few laps here, if they do two-stop here, obviously it's going to probably be the hypers, the ultra, probably the ultras. Oh, here we go. Actually, now you talk about that. Send it down on the inside. Niblo on Ragno. Final time maybe this season. No, Ragno stays in the lead here as Niblo had to check up as he almost went off the track, it looked like here. So now we're going to catch into the second DRS here. Is he going to think twice about it this time after almost losing out on that overtaking position? And no, I think he's going to think twice about this one. Yes, he does with the experience, as you said here. But he is on the gear.
Oh, contact!
Oh, no! He just took out. Oh, is he going to actually let him back on there?
He is letting him back, yeah. But there was the culmination of this whole little battle. And the key thing is, however Nibbler lets him through, he'll avoid a penalty for that. But the key thing is, Nibbler has just killed whatever tyre advantage Ragnar had. By sending him into that spin, you have just skidded those tyres across the ground at about 100 miles an hour. So that's actually worked out really well for Nibbler. Despite giving the position back, any tyre advantage Ragnar has is gone. Surely, he's just dragged them across the asphalt in the wrong direction. Sideways is not the way the tyres are meant to go at 100 miles an hour. So he's definitely harmed Ragnar's tyres, and he's brought us more of a level playing field, and he'll be looking to use that to get the move done on circuit cleanly this time. But keep in mind, we said 13 laps is the most we've seen this race. Nibbler is starting his 13th lap on these tyres. So is Nibbler about to push the boundaries of tyre wear once again?
And plus, if these two, I think at this point, Toby, you might as well consider that two-stop strategy out the window, especially after that, because I think these two are now going to be in a grudge match. But in an alternate universe, if these two, as Niblo comes with the DRS, going to send it off the outside with the straight line speed, gets the job done, get the car under braking, and both of them do. But now Ragno, of course, is going to have the advantage on this one with the DRS here. But keep in mind, in an alternate universe, if that's the case here, if these two do pit, Dougie Afro, man, could become, you know, he might be into play here if he can be able to get it. He's only 17 seconds behind these two guys, but if these two guys do manage to two-stop here, but I don't think they will here, Dougie Afro, man, could be well into a race victory. Maybe it'll be very lucky on Dougie Afro, man's part here, but these two guys, Toby, are not going to let up one bit as Niblo is now our new leader.
So let's throw up some statistics into this race. So we had this situation a few races ago in Mexico where I believe it was Callum Spencer pitted from about 4th or 5th place. and went on some ultra soft tyres to the end of the race. During that stint, the final 5 laps of the race on the ultra softs, he was 5 seconds a lap faster than our 2 leaders. He didn't quite catch him because the gap was too big, but he was 5 seconds a lap faster. So you get an idea. Obviously, the tyre wear is different here to what it is in Mexico, but you get an idea of what an extra pit stop can do for you in the latter stages of the races where you've used all your fuel, your car's very light, the track's as rubbered in as it's going to get, and you're on fresh tyres. It's what they call in Le Mans as happy hour. Everything just grips, everything just brakes, it turns, it handles like it's on rails. So it's definitely an option. If these guys did pit, I'm confident they would catch and pass Dougie Afroman again before the end of the race, because I just don't think Dougie Afroman would have the grip to defend from these guys, because we've seen, you know, in ranges of Kevin Jacobs is doing just that. Kevin Jacobs is going on hyper soft tyres, just what we was talking about, Zach. So let's use Kevin Jacobs as a reference point for the next 5 laps. Let's see how much time he gains. He's going to come out, when he comes out officially, keep an eye on what the time his will be to Testameister ahead. Let's keep an eye on how much he gains while we focus on this battle for the lead. Yeah, Kevin Jacobs and Murcielago, definitely going to be a good thing to keep an eye on, to see if it's worth any of these guys making that extra pit stop.
Yeah, and all the time as Maka, of course, picks up a 3-second time penalty for just a small corner cut. But all the while, Ragno, just like you said, with that contact that Niblo gave him, you know, as we came out of the hairpin, as you were talking about the tire issue, he got a bit tail happy. The car just wanted to step out, and as you can tell, he goes almost just a little bit white, just a tiny bit of, you know, tail happy right there from Ragno as well. But as we came out of the hairpin, going onto the huge straightaway, the car did step out. So that tire from the spin is affecting Ragno, and you can actually tell Niblo does seem to pull away. And I just wonder, though, Toby, if Ragno, especially with that spin, is going to have just a tiny bit worse tires than Niblo does, you know, as Ragno is going to try to gain just a little bit more extra ground in through the chicane here. Let's see how he takes his hairpin right there. Going to go as much as apex as he can here. Easy on the throttle, much better exit this time than last time here. He's going to have the DRS, though. But I just wonder, though, Toby, if Ragno does have just a tiny bit of more wore-out tires than Niblo, especially after the contact that Niblo gave him.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think Ragnar's going to be in the frame for the next DRS zone. He's not going to get the best of exits. Just keeping an eye on Kevin Jacobs. He has gained we're up to 2.6 seconds now in a lap to Testameister. So we're closing in on about 3 seconds a lap faster on those hyper soft tyres. I don't think it's going to be worth it for these guys. But in terms of Kevin Jacobs, will he catch Testameister by the end of the race? I think he might. I think the battle for 5th is definitely on, and the battle for 11th between Murcielago and Maka is definitely on. But the battle that we're most concerned about that's on is the battle for the lead, and it is Ragno versus Niblo, mano a mano. The tyres are about level now due to that spin that Niblo sent Ragno into, and we go racing for the final 4 laps of F1 2018. It's obviously the next time we will be racing in an NORL league will be the historic league on this game, but the next time an official championship will not be until 2019. So this is the final racing these guys are going to do in these cars, and it's all level peggings. We couldn't ask for a better finale.
And let me tell you one thing here, Ragno gained a lot of time actually through that last sector on Niblo here. He would be, I think, about maybe half a second, and he just got out wide. The slipstream and the dirty air, he has no choice to keep up with him to go through that corner here, and plus he didn't want to risk contact with Niblo, I think, here. But, and I think, as I was about to say before you went off, he was almost half a second maybe on here, but that I think just went out the window with him making that mistake. But he did gain time through that last sector on Niblo, and if he hadn't went off, Toby, I think he would have been our new race here going into the DRS zone. But now that he's just a little bit closer here, he's actually, I just don't know what to expect with these two guys here. These guys are just fighting so viciously. The tires are screaming as Kevin Jacobs sits a 138 on those hypersofts, Toby. And
yeah, I'm
not sure exactly. Yeah, just about to say, I'm not sure what the gap is to Kevin Jacobs and Testameister is. Okay, so Testameister is hitting the chicane now. Kevin Jacobs is going past the left-hander, and Kevin Jacobs is on the chicane now, because me being who I am, I'm not exactly sure, and just a little bit of tail happiness from Kevin right there. I'm not sure exactly the time between the two is. It only shows the time between Niblo is to everyone else.
I believe if you set your gap to interval, that will resolve that issue for you. But yeah, I was just about to say, Kevin Jacobs has gained 6 seconds on Testomeister in 2 laps. That is insane. By the way, Murcielago as well has caught Maka. Like we said, we thought that might happen. So the 2 Red Bulls, by the way, they're not synchronized swimming. They're battling all out. And they've already crashed once today. So it might be worth keeping an eye on that. So Murcielago going around the outside of Maka, and he gets the job done. Look how much grip he has. It's not even a contest. Just drives around the outside of Maka. See you bye. Thanks for the... I'll send you a letter from the finish line. Job is a good one. Murcielago up into P11 on them Hypersoft tyres as Ragnar's very close to Nibbler now. This is the closest he's been on that straight line. He'll have DRS. He's got 10% more battery as well. So he's got all the tools to attack here on lap 26. Here comes Ragnar to the outside. He will be forced by Nibbler. He's got to do it. Is he going to get the move done before we get to the corner? No, because Nibbler will not make it. So will late brake forces Ragnar to the inside line. That gives Ragnar the worst line. That's actually going to allow Nibbler to get a better run. But who was ahead in the DRS detection point? It was Nibbler who gets the DRS benefit. So he'll come back at him, gets forced to the outside line. Similar treatment from Ragnar. Give what you deserve, receive what you deserve. Tries to go all the way around the outside, gets the move done. Stellar move, stellar defending by Nibbler. He's up into first once again, but this battle is far from over. By the way, Kevin Jacobs has just taken another 3 seconds in a lap out of Testomeister. He's just 3.4 behind.
And let me tell you one thing, though, that was a very aggressive but smart play by Nibbler, and I think, Toby, he kind of helped that inside line going through that last couple of chicanes right there, and which, of course, when you're going through the S-bends right here after the long straightaway and the actual next straightaway, it's just seeing as Ragnar goes a bit wide, he's going to lose a bit of ground right there. Those tires, of course, are screaming because of the contact that Nibbler gave him just about maybe 6-7 laps earlier right here, as we got 2 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen, here with the final race of the 2018 Nemesis Online Racing League F1 Championship. It is far from over, but I think, Toby, Ragnar, is he going to have enough tires, though, because of that spin? We've been talking about this for the past few laps here, and no, Ragnar just spun it. Ragnar has spun it. That is the race, ladies and gentlemen. Nibbler, if he can keep the tires going and doesn't make a mistake of himself, he is going to be our final race winner, and I believe, Toby, that contact just put the Ragnar tires just off the edge right there, as we talked about. If he had worse tires than Nibbler because of the contact, because he did go sideways for quite a bit before he recovered, and so that just pretty much just murdered the tires. So tough break from Ragnar here, but nonetheless very aggressive. He's about to lose it again here. I believe, Toby, he is just, you know how in Gran Turismo it shows you like a meter for what your tires is and percentage. I think he is all the way at 0%. There is just nothing left of these tires, and very unfortunate events for Ragnar, but what an incredible final send-off here between these two for all of us to watch here. What an incredible race between these two, though.
2 spins in 16 laps. Let's not rule out the possibility of a puncture here for Ragnar. So third place could still open for the grabs. He's got to go careful. By the way, Kevin Jacobs is within a second now of Testomeister, just casual as you do. By the way, if he was looking to catch the next installment of Destes and Seppi, yes, that's still going. They're about to go racing again. Once again, DRS, and it is a carbon copy of what we've seen from these two all day. Destes will take the initial DRS bite. He'll go up the inside, get the move done on Seppi. Clean as you like. Job is done, unless Seppi has anything to say about on the outside, and Seppi does this time outbreak. Destes will try force him out wide, but that's still going to give Destes the DRS, and the side-by-side before DRS even comes into play, so this is all Destes to lose. Seppi will tuck into the inside, and even with DRS, Seppi's gaining, and he will come back up the inside. It's going to be tough from these guys to not make any contact. Seppi steams down the inside. Destes has to go wide, but he's still there. Further contact between the two, and Destes is forced off the road. Lucky to hold on to it. By the way, Kevin Jacobs, like we said, look how easy it was. He's past Hester, and he's already 1.6 ahead of him. So that Hypersoft change was definitely worth it for Kevin. Gets him an extra position. Stellar strategy by the American once again. And that is all said and done. We are on the final lap of this Grand Prix. And Destes and Seppi have got one more lap, Zach, to sort it out amongst themselves. By the way, Ragnar, a 10-second time.
Well, unbelievable. A 10-second time penalty for Ragnar, as I believe Toby just has a bit of an issue with his Turtle Beach, just the cord. Very known fact to Toby with his Turtle Beach, and yeah, you can tell Ragnar, he's just, it's just a pretty much done deal for him as he's just doing, even though he's got that 10-second time penalty, he is catching to Niblo, but that's not going to mean anything here, and so... But nonetheless here, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the final couple of corners right here, but Niblo, a fantastic drive, a very questionable, even though he did give the position back, very questionable, and I have to see exactly what goes on, with the chat between these guys, but Niblo will take the final race of the season and takes the win here at Yas Marina right here. As we're taking a look at the battle, the Seppi Devstez battle still continuing right here. Devstez on the inside, but Seppi's going to continue on the defending through the S's, but I believe this is going to give Devstez the DRS though, and no, ooh, bit of tabi from Devstez right here, but he's still going to have the DRS. Can he recover from that almost spin right here? Yes, he does, and he is gaining on Seppi like it's no thing. It's like just absolutely side by side, a bit of contact between the two of them, and where is Seppi? He's still on the inside right here. He's going to, bit on the gearbox to contact. Hopefully that doesn't mess up Seppi's front wing, because that was just a bit of contact between the two here, but nonetheless, Devstez up, clear, and away from Seppi. A tremendous battle between these two. I wonder what's going to happen. Does Seppi? He's going to try to send it on Devstez here. He's going to get just a little bit of time for him to go through the final few corners right here. Seppi on the gearbox at Devstez. Cuts very close to almost a corner cut. Hopefully the stewards don't deem that, but it appears not. Does he have enough time? Does he have anything left? Don't think. Oh, actually, yes. Big contact right there. He's going to send Devstez.
Devstez is in the wall. He's out. Devstez is out. His wheels off. The final corner. Seppi takes Devstez out of the race. I can't believe it. Murcielago is going to get a point here. What an end to the season for Devstez. That is absolute heartbreak. An way overly ambitious move from Seppi. And Maka gets the point because Murcielago has pulled up at the line and stopped. Murcielago has stopped at the line. I'm not sure why.
I think he's out of fuel.
No,
there he goes.
He goes over the line, gives his teammate. I think he's returning it for taking him out earlier. If that's so very classy from Murcielago.
That's very sportsmanship. Well done to Murcielago right here. And plus, while all that was going around, one of our most favorite people in the entire racing league, Dougie Afroman, gets podium on this. So with all the scrap, he does manage to stay on third. So a very good race for Dougie Afroman here. But what a crazy race. That move that Seppi made is really going to be questionable. And I believe if you're Devstez, I can already imagine what's going on in our own Discord chat, because they're all, in the same chat with each other, Maka, Galactic Skull, and Devstez. And I bet you, and I can see the Discord lighting up, Devstez, I think, is not happy one bit with Seppi. And to be honest, Toby, who can actually blame him?
He did. Oh my goodness. Imagine doing 29 laps of Abu Dhabi and getting to the final corner, and being taken out. That's absolutely insane. Honourable mentions then to Murcielago. Made contact with his teammate, but at the end of the race gave him the position back to give him the final point for this season. Great respect between teammates, between Maka and Murcielago. I'm sure they'll get over that bridge very quickly. Both them guys, very professional, like each other a lot. And they resolved it amongst themselves. Yeah, great podium for Dougie Afro, man. Kept his head clean, moved up 3 positions and stayed there. Great race, by the way, for Kevin Jacobs. He gained 10 positions. He gained 5 positions. That's a bit of an over-ammu statement. But he gains 5 positions on that crazy Hypersoft strategy that we saw at the end of the race. Incredible race. Nibbler takes the final win, but it's Chazza that will win his first ever NORL championship at the end of it all. With the new, obviously, we can't deny there is the performance balancing act. We do have to talk about that. There is the chance that that could be the final time we see Chazza and Nibbler on the NORL grid, but I'm sure They had a great battle this whole season. They traded punches here and there. Wasn't to be for Nibbler. Could that be his last opportunity for an NORL championship? It's hard to say. But either way, well-deserved by Chazza. Great races from everyone here today. That has been another season of NORL then in the books. And I thank everyone who's tuned into the streams for the last 21 weeks. It's been an absolutely crazy, almost a year of racing on this game. And until F1 2019, 2019, everything, the dust will settle and these guys will get to earn a well-earned break, Zach. Crazy race today, and I'm not sure how many of the other 21 races you've seen this season, but it's been a crazy season throughout. Chazza, well-deserved, taking the win. Heartbreak Hotel for Niblo in the end, but got his consolation win here today.
Yeah, what a crazy race. We had so many battles. We, of course, had the dramatic battle between, Niblo and Ragno here, the very final send-off. And, of course, the Sefi Destes battle. There was just so much chaos. What a way to end this season, Toby, on such an amazing race and such an amazing track. I love Abu Dhabi. Even in real life, I love this racetrack. And obviously, you can see why it's one of my favorite tracks on the entire calendar, next to Monaco, obviously. But what a fantastic race. And congrats to everyone throughout the year and throughout the season. A big congrats, of course, to Chazza, even though he couldn't attend this race here. Congrats to him on the championship, a well-deserved championship win here. But yeah, very, very exciting to see what goes on. And if some of these guys hopefully will return, obviously because of the performance rule that the Nemesis Online Racing League has through their leagues. But it was a fantastic pleasure, Toby. I am glad I could be able to attend this one and commentate this one for you. What an amazing race.
Yeah, I'm glad you could join me here today, because that was a race that definitely took two commentators to cover all of the action. I think my throat would be in absolute bits if I had to do that one on my own. So, crazy racing. Thank you, everyone in NORL, for racing and giving us the great action to commentate over. Thank you, everyone who's watched the streams and supported me throughout commentating this. Thank you all for the kind words throughout this season. Yeah, an amazing championship. NORL always delivers. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and until next year, we'll see you then. Take care.